My daughter-in-law whispered, "Look under the dessert table at the wedding." And what I found there shattered everything I believed about family. Hidden beneath those pristine white tablecloths was my son's secret weapon, peanut powder designed to trigger my fatal allergy within minutes, while 250 guests prepared to toast his happiness. Cole had already paid a desperate waiter $15,000 to ensure I'd never see another sunrise. The golden boy everyone admired had been planning something unthinkable, and his perfect wedding was actually a carefully disguised trap. What I did with this knowledge will leave you speechless. If you're watching this shocking story, please subscribe to the channel, like button, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I want to know how far this tale of family betrayal has reached, and whether you've ever faced something this unthinkable from someone you trusted. I'm David Blackwell. At 60, I've built Blackwell Estates into a $60 million empire. I'm a widower. Lost my wife, Laura, 6 years ago, and today should have been the happiest day of my life. Today was my son, Cole's wedding. Cole is perfect, 30, Stanford MBA, everything a father could want. He's my golden boy. My heir never disappointed me once. Charming, successful, respected by everyone. I've spent decades preparing him to take over the business. His bride, Emily Vaughn, worked as my executive assistant for 4 years. She became family. When Laura was dying, Emily handled everything so I could stay at the hospital. She's brilliant, kind, and makes Cole happy. When they fell in love 2 years ago, I felt blessed. My trusted assistant becoming my daughter-in-law seemed like destiny. The wedding was perfect. Historic Hamilton Mansion in New York. 250 guests, white roses, jazz quartet. Every detail flawless until Emily appeared at my study door at 8 that morning. She was pale, shaking, terrified. This wasn't the confident woman I knew. "Mr. Blackwell," she whispered, "I need to tell you something terrible about Cole." I looked up from my speech. What's wrong, pre-wedding nerves? She closed the door behind her. This isn't about nerves. This is about murder. The word hit like a physical blow. "What did you say? Cole is planning to kill you today," she said, tears streaming. At the reception, I heard him on the phone last night finalizing details. I shot up from my chair. "That's impossible. You're talking about my son. He's going to use your peanut allergy," she continued. "He knows it could kill you. He's arranged for someone to put peanut powder in your dessert." My blood turned cold. The allergy that nearly killed me twice. Once as a child. Once 3 years ago when cross-contamination sent me to the emergency room. Everyone in my family knew how dangerous it was. "Stop," I said, raising my hand. "That's my son you're accusing of attempted murder. The son getting married in 6 hours. You're telling me he wants me dead?" Emily nodded miserably. I wish I was wrong, but I heard everything. The plan, the payment, the method. I stared at her. This woman I'd trusted with my life. Either she'd lost her mind, or the son I'd loved for 30 years was a monster. "That's impossible," I said finally. "Show me proof." Emily pulled out her phone with shaking hands. "I have more than I wanted." She scrolled through messages. It started 4 weeks ago. The first text made my blood freeze. "Tell your boyfriend we know where you live. 3 million by wedding day or you both disappear." More messages followed. "Cole owes us money. Your insurance. Pretty girl shouldn't walk alone. Wedding dress would look nice in red." 4 weeks of terror, Emily said, collapsing into my chair. Black cars following me. Strange men everywhere. I confronted Cole. He broke down completely. My stomach dropped. How much? 3 million? Gambling started small in college, then escalated. High-stakes games online, betting sports. He's been hiding it for 3 years. 3 years. While I praised his business success, he was destroying himself. These aren't Vegas casinos, Emily continued. These are dangerous people. The deadline is today. Wedding day. 3 million by midnight, or we both die. Why not ask for help? I would have. Because you'd make him face consequences. He'd rather kill you than disappoint you. The words hit like a physical blow. Last night I recorded him. She played audio from her phone. My son's voice filled the room, cold and calculating. Alex, tomorrow during dessert. You know what to do. The peanut powder is hidden under the main dessert table. Sprinkle it on my father's cake. 15,000 cash when it's done. Another voice. What if someone sees? They won't. Everyone will be drunk. He has severe allergy. It'll look like cross-contamination. The recording ended. I stared in horror. Alex Reed's catering staff, Emily explained. Cole found out he has gambling debts. 15,000 bought his cooperation. I sat back, crushed by betrayal. My son was planning to murder me at his own wedding. The inheritance, I said numbly. Life insurance. The business. 4 million immediately. Full control of Blackwell Estates. More than enough to pay debts and disappear. I looked at this brave woman who could have run, but chose to save me instead. Why didn't you leave him? Because you're the closest thing to a father I've ever had, she said simply. And some things are more important than love. The devastating truth hit me. My perfect son was a monster, and the woman I considered a daughter was the only thing standing between me and death. The silence stretched between us, as the weight of Cole's betrayal settled in my chest like a stone. Emily sat across from me, tears still streaming down her face, waiting for my response. We have to leave, she said, suddenly standing up. Cancel everything. Run away. If we disappear now, maybe they'll leave us alone. Run. I looked at her incredulously. From my own son. From a murderer. She corrected. David, he's planning to kill you in 9 hours. We can't just sit here and let it happen. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the wedding preparations already underway on the grounds. White tents being erected, flowers being arranged, chairs being positioned in perfect rows. 250 guests would arrive in 5 hours, expecting a celebration. No, I said firmly. We're not running. Then what? Call the police. They'll arrest him. But what if the charges don't stick? What if his lawyers get him out? Those creditors will still want their money and will still be targets. She was right about that. Conspiracy charges were hard to prove without concrete evidence of an actual attempt. We need solid evidence, I said, turning back to her. Not just recordings of phone calls or threats. We need to catch him in the act of attempted murder. Are you insane? Emily's voice rose. You want to let him try to kill you? I want to make sure he goes to prison for a very long time, I replied. And I want those creditors to know that their money died with Cole's freedom. I sat back down at my desk, my mind already working through the logistics. You said Alex Reed is supposed to put peanut powder in my dessert. Yes, during the dessert course. Cole hid the powder somewhere under the main dessert table. My peanut allergy wasn't a secret in our family. Laura had always been vigilant about it, checking every ingredient, carrying my EpiPen, making sure restaurants knew about cross-contamination risks. When she died, Emily had taken over that responsibility during business dinners. The whole family knew that even trace amounts could send me into anaphylactic shock within minutes. It was the perfect murder weapon, something that could easily be explained as an accident. "Here's what we're going to do," I said. "The wedding proceeds as planned. You and I will monitor Alex throughout the reception. When he makes his move to poison my dessert, we catch him in the act. That's your plan. Let a man with poison get close to your food. We'll be watching. The moment he reaches for that powder, we stop him. With Alex caught red-handed and the physical evidence, we'll have everything we need to prove Cole's guilt." Emily shook her head. "This is too dangerous. What if something goes wrong? What if we miss the moment? What if Alex is faster than we expect?" "Then you'll use my EpiPen and call an ambulance," I said grimly. "But it won't come to that." "Well, be ready. I can't do this," she whispered. "I can't watch the man I love get arrested for trying to murder the man I consider a father." I reached across the desk and took her hand. "Emily, you already made the hardest choice when you came to me this morning. You chose truth over love, justice over comfort. Don't falter now." She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "What if he finds out we know? What if he changes the plan?" "He won't. Cole thinks he's smarter than everyone else. He thinks his perfect son act has fooled me completely. His arrogance will be his downfall. And if the creditors come after us anyway, they won't. Once Cole is in prison for attempted murder, his debts become irrelevant. Dead men can't pay debts, and imprisoned men can't inherit empires." Emily was quiet for a long moment, processing everything. Finally, she nodded. "What do you need me to do? Act normal. Go through with the wedding ceremony. Smile, laugh, play the happy bride. Keep an eye on Alex during the reception. And when dessert service begins, signal me." "How will I signal you touch your necklace?" "When you see Alex moving toward the dessert table, touch your necklace and I'll know." She reached up and touched the simple gold chain at her throat, a gift I'd given her when she left my employee to focus on her relationship with Cole. "Today we catch a killer in the act," I said, "and we make sure justice is served." By 3 o'clock that afternoon, the Hamilton mansion had transformed into a fairy tale wedding venue. 250 guests filled the garden, unaware that they were about to witness either a celebration or a crime scene. I stood at the altar in my tailored tuxedo, watching my son marry the woman who had saved my life that morning. The irony wasn't lost on me. Cole looked magnificent in his black tuxedo, his smile radiant as he waited for his bride. He nodded to guests, shook hands with the groomsmen, and played his part perfectly. The golden boy, the perfect son, the successful heir to the Blackwell Empire. No one in that garden could have imagined that beneath that charming exterior was a man desperate enough to commit murder. As Emily walked down the aisle in her flowing white gown, I felt my heart break a little more. She looked beautiful, but I could see the tension in her shoulders, the forced smile on her lips. She was walking toward a man she now knew was a killer, and only I understood the courage it took for her to take each step. "Dearly beloved," the minister began, and I forced myself to focus on my performance. I was the proud father beaming with joy as my son married my former assistant. I smiled at the right moments, wiped away a tear when they exchanged vows, and applauded when they kissed as husband and wife. Every gesture was calculated, every expression rehearsed. During the ceremony, I spotted Alex Reed among the catering staff setting up for the reception. He was a thin man in his 50s, nervous energy radiating from him as he arranged serving platters, even from a distance. I could see the sweat on his forehead despite the mild October weather. The reception began at 7 in the grand ballroom. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over round tables draped in white linen. The jazz quartet played softly as guests mingled. Champagne flowed and laughter filled the air. I worked the room like the seasoned businessman. I was shaking hands, accepting congratulations, playing the role of the happiest father alive. Couldn't be prouder. I told old friends, Emily is perfect for him. I assured business associates, the future of Blackwell Estates is in good hands. I promised investors, all lies. Every word was a lie. Cole was in his element, charming guests with stories about how he and Emily fell in love, thanking everyone for coming, accepting congratulations with gracious humility. He moved through the crowd like a politician, never staying in one place too long, always working the room. "Dad," he said during a quiet moment, putting his arm around my shoulders for a photo. "Thank you for everything, for raising me right, for building this empire, for accepting Emily into the family. I promise I'll make you proud." The photographer's flash captured what looked like a loving moment between father and son. In reality, I was staring into the eyes of my would-be killer. "I know you will, son." I replied, the words tasting like poison in my mouth. Throughout the evening, Emily and I maintained our surveillance of Alex. He moved efficiently between the kitchen and the dining room, serving appetizers, refilling wine glasses, clearing plates. To everyone else, he was just another member of the catering staff. To us, he was a loaded weapon waiting to fire. As the main course was served, perfectly prepared filet mignon with roasted vegetables, I found myself studying every bite, every sip of wine, every morsel that passed my lips. Was this how it would end? Not with the dramatic poisoning Cole had planned, but with something slipped into an earlier course. But nothing happened. The main course passed without incident. Then the lights dimmed slightly and the head waiter stepped forward with a microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now be serving dessert, a selection of wedding cakes and seasonal treats prepared specially for this joyous occasion." My heart began to race. Across the room, I caught Emily's eye. Her hand moved unconsciously to her necklace. Alex Reed emerged from the kitchen carrying a large silver tray. The moment of truth had arrived. The dessert service began at 9. Sharp. Waiters carried silver trays of wedding cake and chocolate mousse through the ballroom as guests applauded the elegant display. I positioned myself near the dessert station, heart pounding as I watched Alex Reed arrange plates with trembling hands. Across the room, Emily caught my eye and touched her necklace. The signal it was time. I walked casually toward the dessert area. "Just want to see the treats," I told the head waiter with a forced smile. The main dessert table was impressive. 3 tiers of wedding cakes surrounded by specialty desserts. White tablecloths draped to the floor, hiding the table's base. The perfect concealment. I glanced around, then bent down as if adjusting my shoe. Lifting the tablecloth edge, I peered into the shadows beneath. There it was, a small plastic container tucked behind a table leg. Even in dim light, I could see fine powder inside. Peanut powder ground so fine it would dissolve invisibly into frosting. My son had been here during the ceremony, hiding his murder weapon in plain sight. Alex would retrieve it when the moment came. The evidence of Cole's betrayal sat inches away. I straightened up, pulse racing. Everything Emily told me was true. Cole really planned to kill me tonight. Alex appeared at the station carrying an empty tray. He moved with nervous purpose, sweat beading on his forehead. His eyes darted around, checking if anyone was watching. I stepped behind a decorative column where I could observe unseen. From here, I had a clear view of Alex and the hidden poison. The jazz quartet played softly. Guests laughed and chatted completely unaware that murder was about to unfold. Children ran between tables while parents shared cake and champagne. The scene was so normal that deadly poison seemed surreal. Alex set down his tray and glanced around once more. Satisfied no one was watching, he moved toward the main dessert table. My mouth went dry as he approached the exact spot where death waited. He bent down ostensibly, retrieving something from beneath the table. His hand disappeared under the white cloth, searching for the container that would end my life. This was it. The moment when my son's plan would succeed or fail. I watched Alex's fingers fumble in the shadows, feeling along table legs for hidden poison. His face was tense with concentration sweat now visible despite the air conditioning. Then his expression changed. Relief flooded his features as his hand found its target. Alex straightened up the small plastic container clutched in his palm. The peanut powder that would kill me within minutes was now in my son's accomplice's hands. He looked around once more, then began moving toward the dessert section, where my personal cake slice waited, specially marked for the father of the groom. The deadly container was in his hand. I was the only person in the room who knew what was about to happen. Alex approached my designated cake with purpose. His free hand reached for a serving utensil while the other gripped the poison. In seconds, he would sprinkle death onto my dessert, and Cole's plan would be complete, unless I stopped him. I stepped out from behind the column my decision made. Alex was so focused on his deadly task that he didn't notice me approaching until I was directly behind him. "What exactly are you doing with that?" I said quietly. Alex spun around his face, going white with terror. The plastic container slipped from his fingers, clattering to the floor between us. Peanut powder scattered across the polished marble, creating a small cloud of deadly dust. For a moment, we both stared at the evidence. Then Alex's eyes met mine, and I saw the truth reflected there. Guilt, fear, and the desperate realization that he'd been caught red-handed attempting murder. "Please," he whispered, "I can't explain." Alex stood frozen, staring at the scattered peanut powder between us. The empty container lay at his feet, evidence that could have killed me within minutes. "What were you doing with that poison?" I kept my voice low but firm. He couldn't speak, just opened and closed his mouth like a trapped fish. Sweat poured down his face as he searched desperately for an escape. "You were sprinkling peanut powder on my cake, the slice marked for the father of the groom." I stepped closer. "Did you think I wouldn't notice you trying to kill me?" "Please," Alex whispered, voice cracking. "You don't understand. I never wanted to hurt anyone. But you were going to anyway." I gestured to the powder. "That's enough to put me in anaphylactic shock. I'd be dead before the ambulance arrived." Alex slumped against the table legs, giving out. "I have kids, Mr. Blackwell, 2 little girls. I owe money to bad people. They threatened my family, so you decided to murder me instead." "No, Cole said you just get sick. He said it wasn't enough to kill you. Just make you ill so you'd miss the reception." I stared in disbelief. "Alex, I have severe peanut allergy. My family knows trace amounts can kill me. Cole knows this better than anyone." The truth hit him like a physical blow. Oh God, he lied to me. He promised it wouldn't kill you. How much did he pay you? 15,000. He said it was just to make you sick. Create a distraction. Alex was crying now. I swear I didn't know it would kill you. When did he approach you 4 days ago? He found out about my gambling debt. Said he could help. All I had to do was put powder on your dessert. Tears streamed down his face. I've never hurt anyone. I'm not a killer. But you almost became one tonight. I pulled out my phone. Attempted murder carries 25 years in New York. No. Please. Alex fell to his knees among the poison. My daughters need me. They're 7 and 9. Their mother left us. I'm all they have. You should have thought about that before agreeing to poison me. I'll do anything. I'll testify against Cole. I'll tell police everything. Just don't let me go to prison. My girls will end up in foster care. I looked at this broken man kneeling in evidence of his crime. Alex wasn't evil. He was desperate, manipulated by my son into believing he was committing minor offense rather than murder. You'd testify against Cole. Hope flickered in his eyes. Yes, absolutely. Everything. How he approached me. How much he paid where he hid the poison. And you understand Cole lied that this would have killed me. Yes, I understand now. He used me. Made me accessory to attempted murder without me knowing. I studied his face, seeing genuine remorse and terror. This man had been as much Cole's victim as I was. Here's what happens, I said. You walk with me back to the reception. You stand beside me when I confront my son publicly. You tell everyone exactly what Cole paid you to do. Alex nodded eagerly. Yes, whatever you want. In exchange, I'll make sure the prosecutor knows you cooperated fully and were deceived about the crime's true nature. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you so much. I looked at the scattered peanut powder once more, then back at Alex, through the archway leading to the main ballroom. I could see Cole holding court with his college friends, a glass of champagne in his hand. Completely absorbed in telling some animated story. He was so confident in his plan, so certain that Alex would handle the dirty work without any supervision needed. His arrogance had made him careless. He never imagined his father would be watching. We stepped into a small service quarter away from the reception, where Alex could speak without being overheard by the wedding guests. The sounds of laughter and music felt distant and surreal as we prepared to discuss murder. I need you to tell me everything, I said, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. Every detail of what my son asked you to do. Alex wiped his tears with the back of his hand, trying to compose himself. He approached me 4 days ago right after the final catering meeting. He said he knew about my gambling debts. How did he know I don't know? Maybe he overheard me on the phone with my bookie. Or maybe he had me investigated. Rich people can find out anything they want. Right, Alex's voice was bitter. He said he could help me pay off what I owed, but I had to do him a favor first. What exactly did he tell you to do? He said. During the dessert course, I should put some powder on your cake slice. He showed me this little container and said it was just enough to make you sick to your stomach. Maybe give you some digestive issues, so you'd have to leave the reception early. The casual way Alex described it made my blood boil. Cole had made attempted murder sound like a harmless prank. He specifically said it wouldn't kill me. Yes, he swore it was harmless. He said, "My dad has a sensitive stomach anyway. This will just give him an excuse to go home early and rest." He made it sound like I was doing you a favor. I closed my eyes, trying to process the depth of my son's deception. He had manipulated this desperate man into committing murder by convincing him it was merely a minor inconvenience. How much did he pay you? $15,000. Half up front. Half when the job was done. Alex reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a thick envelope. This is the second payment. He gave it to me this morning before the ceremony. I took the envelope and counted the bills inside. 150 $100 bills. Crisp and new. Blood money for my murder. Did he give you any other instructions? He said to wait until dessert service was almost over when people were distracted and talking. He told me exactly where he'd hidden the powder. Under the main dessert table behind the third leg from the left. He said to sprinkle just a pinch on your slice and make sure it mixed in with the frosting. And you never questioned why he'd want to make his own father sick at his wedding. Alex looked ashamed. I was desperate, Mr. Blackwell. These people I owe money to. They don't just break your legs. They go after your family. When Cole offered me a way out, I didn't ask too many questions. Who are these creditors, loan sharks who run illegal poker games downtown? I got in over my head. Kept borrowing to chase my losses. They gave me until tonight to pay up, or he shuddered. They showed me pictures of my daughters walking to school. The pieces were falling into place. Cole had found the perfect accomplice. A desperate father who would do anything to protect his children. Even commit what he thought was a harmless crime. Alex, I need you to understand something, I said gravely. What my son asked you to do wasn't just make me sick. With my peanut allergy. That powder would have killed me within minutes. You would have been guilty of murder, not just assault. Alex's face went white again. I swear I didn't know. If I had known it would kill you, I never would have agreed. I may be desperate, but I'm not a killer. My son knew exactly what would happen. He used your desperation and your love for your daughters to turn you into his weapon. That bastard. Alex whispered anger, replacing fear in his voice. He was going to let me go to prison for murder while he inherited everything. I felt a cold satisfaction at Alex's realization. Are you willing to tell this story to the police to testify against Cole in court? Absolutely. I'll tell them everything. The payments, the instructions, the lies he told me. I have his text messages on my phone with details about timing and location. Good. Because we're going back to that reception, and you're going to tell this story to 250 wedding guests. Alex looked terrified again in front of everyone. My son planned to murder me in front of everyone. It's only fitting that his exposure should be just as public. I pocketed the envelope of blood money and looked Alex in the eye. Time to show everyone who Cole Blackwell really is. Alex and I walked back into the reception hall, the envelope of blood money in my jacket pocket, and the weight of truth heavy on my shoulders. The jazz quartet was still playing, guests were still laughing, and my son was still charming everyone with his perfect smile, unaware his world was about to collapse. It was time to end the charade. I walked to the bandstand and took the microphone from the surprised singer. The music stopped abruptly, and 250 faces turned toward me with curious smiles, expecting a heartfelt father of the groom's speech. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, my voice carrying clearly through the ballroom. I need to share something important with you all. Cole looked up from his conversation, his expression shifting from casual interest to concern as he saw Alex standing beside me, pale and trembling. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration of love and family. I continued. Instead, I've discovered a plot to commit murder. My murder. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Several guests laughed nervously, thinking this was elaborate entertainment. Cole's champagne glass slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. Alex Reed, one of our catering staff, was paid $15,000 by my son to poison my dessert with peanut powder. I pulled out the envelope and held it up. This is the blood money he received this morning. The nervous laughter died completely. The ballroom fell into stunned silence. Alex, tell them what my son asked you to do. Alex stepped forward, his voice shaking but growing stronger. Cole Blackwell paid me to put peanut powder on his father's cake. He told me it would just make him sick. But I know now it would have killed him. Mr. Blackwell has a severe allergy that could cause death within minutes. That's impossible. Cole pushed through the crowd toward us, his perfect composure cracking. Dad, what is this, some kind of sick joke? Alex is lying. No joke. Son, we caught Alex red-handed with the poison you hid under the dessert table. The same poison that would have ended my life tonight. Cole's eyes darted frantically between Alex and me like a trapped animal. This is insane. Why would I want to hurt you? $3 million in gambling debts, I said simply. Creditors threatening to kill you and Emily if you don't pay by midnight tonight. My life insurance and inheritance would solve all your problems. The crowd murmured in shock. Several people had pulled out phones, recording everything. You're wrong, Cole said desperately, his voice cracking. I would never hurt you. And I have recordings of our phone conversations, Alex interrupted, pulling out his cell phone. Text messages with instructions. Bank records showing payments. Everything is documented. Cole stared at Alex with pure hatred. You worthless piece of careful son, I said coldly. You're confessing to attempted murder in front of 250 witnesses. That's when Cole broke completely. His shoulders sagged, the mask of perfection finally slipping away. I didn't have a choice. He whispered, then louder. I didn't have a choice. They were going to kill us both. They showed me pictures of Emily, knew where she lived. What was I supposed to do? You were supposed to come to me, I said, my heart breaking even as justice was served. You were supposed to trust your father. Sirens wailed in the distance. Growing closer, someone had called the police. I'm sorry, Cole said, tears streaming down his face as he looked at Emily, who stood frozen in her wedding gown. I'm so sorry. I thought if Dad was just gone, we could pay the debts and start fresh. Emily stared at him, as if seeing him for the first time. You were going to kill the man who raised me like his own daughter, she said quietly. The man who gave me everything when I had nothing. How could I have loved someone capable of such evil? The police burst through the ballroom doors. 4 officers assessing the situation. Cole Blackwell, the lead officer, announced. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. As they handcuffed my son, he looked at me one last time. Dad, please, I'm still your son. No, I said quietly. My son died the moment he chose murder over family. The wedding guests dispersed slowly, still in shock. The fairy tale wedding had become a crime scene in 20 minutes. Hours later, I sat alone in my study, still in my tuxedo, staring at untouched whiskey. The house felt enormous and empty. Emily appeared in the doorway, still in her wedding dress, but with makeup streaked with tears. I'm so sorry, she said. This is all my fault. Stop, I said firmly. You saved my life tonight. You risked everything to do what was right. She sat across from me, 2 survivors of a nightmare. What happens now? She asked. Now we rebuild, I said. The business will survive. The Blackwell name will endure, and we'll learn to trust again carefully. I looked at this remarkable woman who had chosen truth over love. You'll always have a place in this family. Emily, not as my daughter-in-law, but as my daughter in every way that matters. As I reflected on the ruins of what should have been the happiest day, I realized I'd learned something valuable about family. Blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. Love doesn't ensure honesty. But sometimes salvation comes from unexpected places. I'd failed as a father somewhere raising a son who chose murder over honesty. But I'd also discovered that real family is built on choice, not genetics. The Blackwell legacy would continue built on integrity, not wealth earned through betrayal. Sometimes the people we trust most hurt us deepest, but sometimes the people who save us are the ones we least expect. Alex had found courage to do right when it mattered. Emily had chosen justice over comfort. These were the people worth calling family. That's a lesson worth learning even at the cost of everything else. In the ashes of betrayal, we can still find the seeds of redemption and the true meaning of family loyalty. Looking back on this devastating betrayal, I've learned that trust must be earned through actions, not just words. Betrayal stories like mine remind us that evil can hide behind the most charming smiles and perfect facades. As Grandpa stories often teach us, wisdom comes from surviving life's hardest tests. God has a way of placing guardian angels in our path when we need them most. Just as God protected me through Emily's courage, He shows us that family isn't defined by blood alone. When we face our darkest moments, God reveals who truly loves us and who merely uses us. These painful betrayal stories serve a greater purpose. They teach us discernment. Grandpa stories passed down through generations always emphasize the same truth. Character is revealed in crisis, not comfort. My son's gambling addiction and desperation led him down a path I never imagined possible. The most profound grandpa stories remind us that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and love doesn't mean enabling destructive behavior. Sometimes protecting those we love means holding them accountable for their choices, even when it breaks our hearts. Through this nightmare, I discovered that real family chooses to stay when others choose to betray. Betrayal stories hurt, but they also heal by showing us who deserves our trust. If this story touched your heart, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever faced betrayal from someone you trusted completely? Your story might help someone else find strength. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful grandpa stories that inspire and teach life's most important lessons. Hit that notification bell so you never miss these meaningful betrayal stories that remind us of God's protection and